Hi, good day, everyone. So, today we're going to be continuing our discussion last week. So, in this segment, it has been included to provide information on how to go about progress monitoring. So, it is crucial that student progress is documented to aid in communication with parents. Again, I'm Lanza Banyano, and today we're going to be talking about progress monitoring. So, progress monitoring is described as a formative process to assess student performance and evaluate the effectiveness of instructions. And it is according to Vanas, Soares, Smith, and Williams 2012. So, as you guys remember, that formative assessment is done during the discussion. So, it is vital in individualized education and special education. This technique is oftentimes integrated in response to intervention or RTI model. So, response to intervention or RTI model is an educational strategy used in school to provide effective and high quality instruction, monitor all students' progress to make sure they are progressing as expected, and provide additional support or intervention to students who are struggling. Therefore, RTI is a method of academic intervention. So we have here the two popular progress monitoring models, and these are curriculum based measurement or CBM and mastery measurement. In CBM, all skills are assessed by each test. Like, for example, a teacher will sit down with one student who will read two or three selected passages aloud for 1 minute each. So the teacher will record any errors that occurred while reading the passages. So in this type of test, it measures how accurate and how well the child read, and it measures their reading, pronunciation, and how well their dictions are. So, in this kind of measurement, parents will have a week by week report of progress by their children. So, meanwhile, in mastery measurement, skills are assessed one at a time in a predetermined instructional sequence. It is like they measure a specific skill for their student to master. For example, the student's ability to add and subtract. So, this type of measurement will specifically measure that certain topic for them to master, and hopefully, they will still be able to apply those by the end of the semester. So, according to Zeno 2003, he conveyed that the effectiveness of this technique in making educational decisions such as screening, pre-referral evaluation, placement in remedial and special education programs, formative evaluation, and evaluation of reintegration and inclusion. So, unlike traditional assessment, progress monitoring focuses on learners' acquired skills through repeatable and brief probes, and it is according to Lochner and Bowen 2010. So these skills may be about reading comprehension and fluency, mathematical calculation, writing skills, and spelling, and etc. So targeted and systematic interventions are conducted to address students' needs. So, for instance, the teacher, when necessary, may engage on a one-on-one or small group instruction, reteach the material, or provide more drills and practice. And that is according to Safer and Fleischman 2005. So, I know probably I know probably most of us already experienced this when our teacher reteach a certain topic and provide more example if they think we haven't learned enough yet. So, graphs are constructed to track student progress. We will probably use a graph and progress monitoring. So the data from frequent but brief assessment are charted over time, and the slope is examined to gauge the extent of improvement. So consider a grade 2 pupil who had difficulty applying the rules of addition and subtraction involving whole numbers. 20 short equivalent tests or probes were given during the course of 10 weeks. So the student's progress or the student's percentage scores were recorded and graphed. So as you can see in this table, the line graph reveals that the student's performance did not improve during the first 4 weeks. So as you can see here that the graphs, the student performance represented by the graph, and it did not improve during the first 2 4 weeks. So for this reason, the teacher decided to provide additional assignments in the form of worksheets for the child to accomplish at home. So the pupils' questions were entertained after class period. The intervention proved to be effective. The probes from, as you can see here in this table, from week 5 to 10 displayed an increasing upward slope, which means that test scores improved. Note that a bar graph may also be used. So it is not necessarily for us to use this kind of graph. So we learned how it works. Then, of course, we have to learn how we will conduct this type of monitoring. So, so I'm going to be tackling about the steps in conducting progress monitoring. So, according to Lochner and Bowen 2010, they listed the general steps in progress monitoring. So, step number one, determine the level of implementation, whether individual, small, or large group, classroom, grade, or school level. Step 2, decide on what measures to undertake. Create or select appropriate short tests or probes. It could be 1 to 3 minutes long, and the test should be sample a wide range of skills to be mastered throughout the year. So you could use CBM or mastery measurement in measuring their progress. So, step number 3, collect screening or baseline data. Administer and score the test or probe to ensure validity. Frequent testing or probing should be done. Step number 4, decide on short-term objectives or outcomes. So it means that you should create an objective that can be achieved in a brief period of time, like making your student achieve higher scores on their test exams. Step number 5, set and articulate long range goals. So a long term goal takes several weeks, months, or even a full school semester of year to achieve. An example of it is to improve an overall grade of student by the end of semester. Step number 6, decide when and how often to monitor. We should know when is the perfect time to do this. So step number 7, graph the scores. Graphs can visually describe how learners are doing. Data results and graphs can inform instructions, like the example I have shown you guys earlier. So, step number 8, make instructional decisions. Adjust pedagogical strategies when needed. Of course, we have to adjust on the students' needs, like or the topics relevant for their improvement and etc. So, Step number 9, continue monitoring, because monitoring is vital for you to know how your students progress. And last but not least, step number 10, report progress to students, parents, or guardians, and stakeholders. Obviously, we have to tell them how they progress for them to be familiar on what they have done during the whole quarter or semester. So, progress monitoring is said to be a valid and reliable predictor of subsequent assessment performance, according to Dino 2003. It was also reported that progress monitoring improves student motivation, but there is also a downside as to the amount of time it requires. So, nonetheless, teachers can involve students in monitoring their own progress. So, do you guys remember our teachers back then when they let us record our quizzes on our own? Then I guess that would be a perfect example of involving your student to monitor their own progress. So, in this part of this topic, I will be discussing the Philippine Basic Education Rating System. So the grade components for grade 1 to 10 and senior high school, effective school year 2015 to 2016, are shown in the table. So the weight in the new grading system, or NGS, range from 20% to 40% for written work, as you can see here in this table. So 40% to 60% for performance task and 20% to 30% for quarterly assessment. So notice how performance tasks constitute a substantial percentage of a student's grade. Essentially, PTs or performance task assesses a learner's ability to do, which makes learning dynamic and realistic. So when scoring tests and other assessment, the raw score are totaled in each level of assessment. Then the percentage scores are calculated. After that, the corresponding percentage weights are applied. As a case in point, suppose a grade 2 student acquired a total score of 64 in science out of 80 points specifically on graded works. So the percentage score is 80. This was calculated by dividing the total raw score by the highest possible score multiplied by 100. So it will be 64 divided by 80 times 100. So you can see 64 represents the student's raw score and 80 represents the highest possible score, and we have to multiply it by 100 to get the weighted score. So, eh, uh, sorry, to get the percentage score. So the score is 80. So it is 80%. So to get the weighted score naman, we take 40% of the percentage score, which is equal to 32. The same procedure is applied to other components. So as you can see here, so 80 represents the percentage score, and we have to multiply it by 40%, and we can convert it into decimal by just simply putting it as zero point 0.4, and the answer will be the weighted score, or 32. So that's the end of my discussion. I hope you guys learned something, and thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. This is the continuation of the reporting of the Group 4 transmutation table. transmutation table this is the table we can describe, or in this table we can compute the ability of each student, ability in their grade. Grade is important for every student. Table we base the final grade of every student. This table can describe what is the ability of each student that in their works, in their written works, exams, practicals, and many more. During remedial sessions, summative assessments are also offered. The quarter grade is recorded, calculated, weighted, and transmuted in the same way. Every grade of student is computed by a teacher. We can just write a number. We need to compute the grade based on their works. A learner in grade 1 to 10 who does not meet expectation in at least 2 learning areas must take remedial programs. After the final grade has been computed, a remedial class is held. When a student have raw score in written works and practical tests that are consistently lower than expected, by the 5th week of any quarter, the instructor should ensure that they receive remediation. This is important to every student, that the remedial classes, because in this session, dito pa nila mababawi yung mga nabagsak nilang subject. At ito yung session na tutulungan sila upang mas maintindihan pa nila kung ano yung mga subject na hindi nila maintindihan. When students have raw score in written works and practical tests that are consistently lower than expected by the 5th week of any quarter, the instructor should ensure that they receive remediation. If the student keeps failing the remedial classes, they must be repeated during the summer or as a back subject. Yun nga, pinagbigyan ka na ng remedial classes pero you failed pa rin. Kaya dito na nila ilalagay yung summer or back subject. Example, you are a grade 8 student and you have a grade 7 subject because of the back subject. Levels of proficiency and descriptors. In this table, this is the proficiency of every student based on their final grades. This is the grading scale. 90 above is advanced, 85 to 89 proficient, 80 to 84 approaching proficiency, and 75 to 79 is developing, and the 75 below is the beginning. New grading system descriptors: outstanding, very satisfactory, fairly satisfactory, did not meet expectation. Remarks: 90 passed, 85 to 89 passed, 80 to 84 passed, 75 to 79 passed, and 75 below is failed. Sample raw scores in grade 4 mathematics. This table also gives us the raw score of every student in their mathematics subject. Before we compute the final grade, we need to compute this raw scores. We have a raw scores that has written work and practical tests and the quarterly assessment that we need to base in that grades kung ano ang kalalabasan ng final grade nila, ayun ang magiging final grade nila. Kaya kailangan natin ng mga ganito. Kaya po nga, di ba, may mga students tayo na mga kulang ang mga works nila. Kaya po mabababa ang grades nila kasi po hindi po kumpleto ang mga works nila. Yun lang po. Thank you po. Thank you for listening.